Brethren and friends, good evening, and thank you for joining us with the Rubicon Masonic Society for episode 73 of our Virtual Masonic Education series, almost consecutively since we began this series entitled 21st Century Conversations on Freemasonry in the year 2020. I think we all remember that year probably all too well. I hope everyone's air conditioning is working well. I know there's a heat wave going on, so hopefully we can be comfortable for this meeting tonight. I look forward to it. It's great to see a lot of new faces and familiar faces as well. So thank you all for joining us here tonight. For those of you who are returning visitors to our education of course, we always thank you and love to see you and your participation with us. And again, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we hope you enjoyed tonight and hope you would like to come back for future education series. For anyone watching this video online, the recorded version, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel so you never miss a monthly episode of our Masonic education. If any Masons ever have an interest in joining during a live presentation, please RSVP at rubiconmasonicSociety.com/RSVP. Very special thanks, as always, goes out to our dear friends, brothers, and friends at the Ware Lodge of Research, Lexington Lodge No. and of course, the Rubicon Masonic Society. Special thank you out to Vice Chairman Worshipful Brother John Bizak, Worshipful Brother Dan Kimball, our recorder, and Worshipful Brother Alan Martin, as well as all of our other members and honorary members of the Rubicon Masonic Society. My name is Brian Evans. I am the chairman of the Rubicon Masonic Society, and we will now proceed with the business of the evening. Worshipful Brother Alan Martin, will you please deliver the opening devotion?
My pleasure, worshipful brother. Brothers, let's pray. Grand Architect of the universe, as we gather for this meeting, unite our hearts and minds in common purpose. Grant us the wisdom to apply the tenets of our craft so that we may improve our lives as we labor to become better men. We pray that you bless our presenter this evening and our discussion so we may be productive in our undertaking. These things we pray in your holy name. Amen.
Mote it be.
Thank you, brother. Brothers and friends, our virtual Masonic education aims to help us to become better men, always devoted to our family, our faith, and our country. May we all come together tonight to learn, to subdue our passions, to discipline our minds, and to improve ourselves through the tools of Freemasonry. Any opinions expressed during this virtual education will be those of the presenter or participant. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any lodge or Grand Lodge or the Rubicon Masonic Society. By participating with us, you consent to our guidelines, and our full disclaimer can be found at rubiconmasonicsociety.com/disclaimer. Brothers and friends, as you know, these are not tiled meetings. Masons and non-Masons are welcome to attend and participate, so please always be mindful that anything discussed during this evening should always be suitable for Masons of all degrees as well as non-Masons. Gentlemanly manners are to be expected at all times. Please note drinking, no smoking, no foul language, no food at any times. No discussion of politics or religion. Attendees may be removed if not following our protocol. In an effort to best ensure that these meetings are as enjoyable as possible, we simply request and recommend the following. Recommended attire for each meeting is coat and tie. Please type your name and any appropriate Masonic title or location under your video to identify yourself to others. If you're not a Mason, please type guest after your name. Please enable your video camera so that way we may see you. Please reduce background noise and keep your microphone muted when not speaking. Please turn off all other computer programs. And finally, please always be patient should any technical difficulties occur. Tonight, we have a speaker, Right Worship Brother Kevin P. Wardally, and I will now pass the microphone over to our Worship Brother John Bizak to do the proper introductions for our presenter.
Thank you, brother. Harlem native Kevin Wardally is Prince Hall Mason. He was raised in Adelphic Union Lodge 14 in New York. He's a member of Medina Temple, Rising Sun 4, Holy Royal Archmasons, PHA, St. John's Knights Templar, PHA, Alpha Council No. 1, Royal and Select Masters, PHA, Chi Rho Fraternity Incorporated, PHA, and the Masonic Library and Museum Association. He's also a member of the Scottish Rite Research Society, an honorary fellow of Phylaxis Society, And in addition, he's the Senior Grand Warden of the Grand Lodge of New York, PHA, a founding member and served as a board member of the Masonic Society as well. And he's a published author with writings appearing in Phalanx's The Sentinel, Working Tools, and Livingstone's Masonic magazines, along with others. And he's a regular contributor to the Prince Hall Sentinel, the quarterly journal of Prince Hall Masons in the state of New York. We're pleased to have him with us this evening for our 73rd episode and present and discuss Prince Hall, the man, the organization, and his Freemasonry. Brother Wardally, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, my brothers.
Good evening.
I hope all of you are well. I want to thank the Rubicon Masonic Society for giving me this opportunity to address you this evening. I've viewed many of your presentations in the past and found them very interesting, and I hope that I will live up to that interesting mantra that you have had. And of course, I'll answer any questions you have at the end. Do I have sharing capability?
Yes, brother, you do. Go ahead.
All right. Let me share my screen. Here we go. All right. All right, is everybody seeing what I'm seeing? We all right?
Looks good.
All right. All right, good evening, brothers. My topic this evening is Prince Hall, the man, the organization, and his Freemasonry. And really, the last part of that is really why that matters, because I believe that it does, and I hope by the end of this talk you'll agree with me. As we begin, we talk about why does Prince Hall, the man, matter? And he matters to so many because of who he was. He was an abolitionist, a civil rights leader, a leather dresser by trade, and he did catering, amongst many other things. He may have been the first or one of the first African-American community activists and civil rights leaders in this country. On behalf of the African-American community in Boston, he made appearances before the Boston City Council and Massachusetts Colony Legislature, fighting for to pass laws that benefit folks of color and to protest injustices against them. And you must remember at the time in which he did this. He operated the first school in Boston for African-American children in the basement of his home, amongst many, many other things. Over time, he became frustrated with his lack of progress, either educationally or legislatively, attempting to gain equal treatment and respect for his people. What he saw then in Boston at the time was that many of the influential members of the Boston community who were leaders of that community were Masons. And as he began to meet more Masons, he felt he would be able to accomplish much more for the African-American community in Boston otherwise if he were to become a member of that fraternity. Finally, on March 6, 1775, after numerous unsuccessful attempts to obtain membership in the Masonic lodges in the Boston area, Prince Hall and 14 of his brethren, who you see listed here, were initiated in the Freemasonry. Now, what was historic about Prince Hall being initiated was not that he as an African-American were being initiated. Because if you look at the history of that time, there were African-Americans who were being initiated in the West Indies, in England, in Germany, and other places. And he was not the first. But what was unique and powerful in his story was that he was the first brethren or first group of African-Americans to be initiated into Freemasonry in the North American continent. By 1784, he sent an application for membership to the Grand Lodge of England, the mother lodge of us all, and Brother Moody submitted the application on his behalf. And on September 29th, 1784, the United Grand Lodge of England issued a charter, number 459, to the members of African Lodge. It was delivered to Boston on April 29, 1787, by Captain James Scott, who was the brother-in-law to our own brother John Hancock. Here you see a copy of the petition that Prince Hall submitted to the Grand Lodge of England. It actually exists in the United Grand Lodge's library, where you can see it today. Our Grand Lodge visited it several years ago, and they showed us this petition and many of the writings and letters that he wrote to the Universal Grand Lodge of England, which was a powerful thing for us to see as members of the Prince Hall family. And and from the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of New York. You will see there is the actual copy of African Lodge number 459, which stands in a bank vault in Boston, Massachusetts, is guarded 24 hours a day, and is brought out twice a year. It's brought out once every 2 years at a special ceremony held by the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts, where they read the charter, allow folks to see the original charter that was given to us, and then it goes back into that vault as it is a protected item, an artifact of the Prince Hall family and sodality here in New York. And you don't get a chance to see it again for another 2 years. Continuing along that, just to give you some background history, right? African Lodge number 459 became the only lodge of African Americans in the United States to ever receive a charter from the Mother Grand Lodge of Masonry, the Grand Lodge of England. And that's important, right? Two, in October 1797, the members of African Lodge went to Philadelphia using the time immemorial practices previously used by Mother Lodges and established African Lodge number 459 of Philadelphia, which was second in this country, and went on to establish Hiram Lodge number 3 in Providence, Rhode Island, which was third. In the early part of 1812, they established a lodge in the city of New York. And on February 16, 1812, the members of African 459, acting the role of Mother Lodge, established African Lodge of New York. Between 1819 and 1827, the name African Lodge of New York was changed to Boyer Lodge in honor of the second president of Haiti, Jean Pierre Boyer. Boyer is the Mother Lodge of Prince Hall Masonry in the state of New York. Historic history purpose, the period also saw the establishment of 3 other lodges in the city of New York: Celestial Lodge number 2, Rising Sun number 3, and Hiram Lodge number 4. And from these 4 lodges, on March 12, 1845, the Grand Lodge, which would later be known as the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of New York, in 1919, where they changed their name to that, was established and exists today. The Prince Hall family in New York State today, it consists of 51 Eastern chapters and approximately 1,800 members, and 68 Prince Hall lodges with a membership of approximately 3,000 members. Just a note on recognition. United Grand Lodge of England in 1827, African Lodge declared itself to be an independent Grand Lodge. The African Lodge of Massachusetts was later renamed the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts. All Prince Hall Grand Lodges are descended from what is now the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts. In 1994, the United Grand Lodge of England Grand Registrar moved that, withstanding its unusual formation, the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts should now be accepted as regular and be recognized in all of its children. The administrations of the Grand Lodge of Ireland and Scotland agreed in principle that the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts should be recognized. Again, this was in 1994. And here's some statements directly from that resolution. By the standards of today, i.e. 3 lodges to form a Grand Lodge, the formation of the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts was irregular. However, in the 18th century, 3 Grand Lodges in North America were formed by not 3, but 2 lodges. And the Grand Lodge of New Jersey was formed simply by a Grand Convention of Masons. So by standards then prevailing, the formation of the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts could have be seen as merely eccentric and acceptable regularity. Notwithstanding the usual transformation of its original lodge into a Grand Lodge, the philosophy and practice of Prince Hall Masonry today is of exemplary regularity. The issue of regularity has been a powerful force in Masonry in the United States. As you can see through this map, as of March 2022, 46 of the 51 Masonic jurisdictions, including Alaska, Hawaii, and DC, have all voted in favor of joint recognition between so-called mainstream Grand Lodges, which are usually Grand Lodge of State, and the Prince Hall affiliated Grand Lodges. And then as you can see, the Grand Lodge of Louisiana has a unique history. They do not yet have joint recognition and visitation, but they did do visitation with the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Maryland, not Louisiana. So it's all an act in progress. And as you can see, the 5 states are all below the Mason-Dixon line and have complicated histories with their African-American residents: West Virginia, South Carolina, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Louisiana. I wanted to take a moment of personal privilege and talk about monuments. First of all, there are less than a dozen monuments in this country dedicated to people of color. There are 2 monuments dedicated to Prince Hall in this country. And I hope the next time any of you who are on this call are in the Boston, Massachusetts area, you'll take the time to go visit both of them. The first is an imposing monument erected upon the grave of Prince Hall on Copp's Hill Burying Ground in Boston, Massachusetts, in the north end of the grounds. It is made of Vermont granite. It sits at the head of a grave, and it stands as a broken column. You see it pictured here. It was commissioned by the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts, with the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts its counterpart, and was created and dedicated in the late 1990s. The second monument was unveiled in 2009 in the city of Cambridge, Massachusetts, roughly about 20 or so minutes away from the first one I mentioned. It was created by artist Ted Clausen, and it became an official landmark of this country in 2012, and of the city of Cambridge, and of the state of Massachusetts. It sits on the site of historic Cambridge Commons, the place where George Washington took command of the Continental Army on July 3rd, 1775. Beneath the Washington elm tree, it consists of 5 black granite rectangular panels forming a 6-foot diameter circle with an opening. Each panel is 6 foot tall, 2 feet wide, and 6 inches deep. Each slab is emblazoned with a different quote from Prince Hall, celebrating one of the many aspects of his extraordinary life as an educator, a patriot, an abolitionist, a businessman, and a Mason. The monument cost a little over $100,000 and was raised by Prince Hall Grand Lodges and Masons throughout the country. When you're next in Boston, please visit both of these important monuments if you're able. That was the man, and now his organization. Prince Hall is everywhere. Around the world, there are over 5,000 lodges and 47 Grand Lodges that can be traced back to African Lodge number 459. There are over 500,000 members worldwide, including in Africa, the Middle East, and Western Europe. Prince Hall Masonry is one of the oldest organizations amongst people of color in this country. It's a shared trust. And all organizations that came after it either come directly from it or have definitely borrowed from it. And as you look at it as an organization and its historical nature, you'll see that Prince Hall Freemasonry goes back to March 6, 1775. The AME Church, which is the oldest religious institution in the African-American community, was founded in 1816 in Philadelphia, which grew out of the Free Africa Society, which was formed in 1787. The NAACP was founded February 12, 1909 in New York. The National Urban League was founded September 29, 1910 in New York. And the Congress of Racial Equality was founded in 1942 in Chicago. So when you look at it as an organization, it is clearly one of the oldest by almost 200 years. And when you look at it as a fraternal, Black fraternal order, if you choose to look at it in that way, you'll see that the Grand United Order of Odd Fellows in America was founded in 1842 in Philadelphia. The Improved Benevolent Protective Order of the Elks of the World was founded November 17, 1898 in Cincinnati. Sigma Pi Phi, the Boule, which is the first Greek letter fraternity for African Americans, was founded May 15, 1904 in Philadelphia. And Alpha Phi Alpha, which was the first Greek letter institution founded for college members. I forgot the college it was founded on, was founded December 4th, 1906. And there you'll see a timeline of those African-American organizations, just so you can see it visually. From the latest one being CORE in 1942, and you see Prince Hall Masonry at the base for all of them. Again, Prince Hall, the organization. Here you'll see a picture of Thurgood Marshall, Brother Thurgood Marshall, receiving a check from Grandmaster Wesley Dobbs, the Grandmaster of Georgia in the 1960s, as he was the director of the Prince Hall Masons Legal Research Department, which was a partnership with the NAACP. Prince Hall Grand Lodges in this country were major participants in the civil rights movement in this country, and huge financial supporters of the NAACP Legal Funds and many other organizations that serve people of color. Brother Thurgood Marshall actually said in his memoirs that were it not for that financial support of the Prince Hall Lodges, Brown versus Board of Education, and so many other pieces of legislation would never have made it through the court system. It was the Prince Hall Masons, their families, their children, the sisters, who funded these very important causes. And here in the jurisdiction of New York, where I'm from, it's important to note that many struggles for equality were launched from our own Grand East on 454 West 155th Street. We, the Prince Hall Grand Lodge, had been intimately involved in securing equality and improving the life situation of African Americans in the city and the state of New York through the people and the causes that we supported, such as the NAACP, the Urban League, and the AME Church, through the community leaders that we helped to elect that made situations in life better for African Americans and others, folks of colors, including Brother Adam Clayton Powell of Ware Lodge No. 1, Brother Charles Rangel of Joppa Lodge No. 55, Brother Percy Sutton of Crispus Attucks Lodge No. 60, Brother Ed Towns of African 459 No. 63, or even we continue today with our own Senator Kevin Parker, who is currently the worshipful master of Sons of Kings Lodge No. 123. And through the support we provided to the needy in our community. When no one wanted to do Christmas at Harlem Hospital, it was the Masons, Medina Temple, and the Grand Lodge that stepped in to support. When the AIDS baby crisis took over in the 1980s, it was the Masons who stepped forward to provide for those families and those poor children who needed a helping hand. And even today, if you go to the Prince Hall Grand Lodge 2 times a month, you'll see City Harvest giving out in food to hundreds of families via a food pantry that we sponsor as of today. Those golden doors in the front of the Prince Hall Grand Lodge have been a beacon of hope and have always signified positive change and growth for our community. Lastly, why does the Prince Hall's Masonry matter, right? We know why the man matters because we look at his background and the things that he has accomplished. We know why his organization mattered because of the people that it touched and the things that it did. But now, why does the Masonry matter, right? And the first reason I say that it matters is because of the profound legacy that it has fostered. Prince Hall Masonic Lodges and many of the churches created by their members were essential stops on the Underground Railroad. In fact, the first place we met was Mother AME Church in Harlem, where there are still remnants of the Underground Railroad aspect of its existence in the basement of that church now. Prince Hall temples have always been places where many civil rights actions were organized, including the March on Washington, Martin Luther King Jr. in Alabama, etc. And the financial support given to organizations has been key to their success. I chose this picture here because in 1960, I believe it was 1962, Dr. King was invited to attend St. James AME Church in Georgia. And the church received so many death threats that they told Dr. King that he could not come because the Ku Klux Klan and other white local supremacists said that they would bomb the church and would shoot him if he came to speak in Georgia at that date and time. You will see that the Prince Hall Masons stepped up, and on July 1st, the man sitting behind him, Grandmaster Wesley Dobbs, he sponsored Dr. King's lecture at the Prince Hall Grand Lodge, which was actually a block away from St. James AME Church, and it appeared in the Ledger Enquirer newspaper. That King's appearance was being sponsored by members of a Black Masonic group with armed Masons on the roof of the temple. King gave his speech without incident. The brothers protected Dr. King. The Prince Hall Masons stepped to defend Dr. King because they knew that his message and his appearance mattered to the folks of Georgia, right? And then you look at in New York, some of the Prince Hall Masons who have been leaders you look at A. Philip Randolph, who organized the March on Washington for Jobs and Justice, began his first March meetings in the first floor of the Prince Hall Grand Lodge. Or Brother Sugar Ray Robinson, who was one of the greatest fighters of all time, who was an entrepreneur in Harlem and employed hundreds and hundreds of Harlem residents. And he held job fairs right in the Prince Hall Grand Lodge for qualified brothers to help staff up, to help their families, and to help the community. And we can never forget Honorable Percy Sutton, who, when he ran for Manhattan Borough President, held the first campaign meeting of his campaign in the Prince Hall Grand Lodge. Mm-hmm. And he envisioned a citywide road race that would help highlight this great city when he became Manhattan Borough President, which eventually became the New York City Marathon that is a worldwide institution today, but it started as a Percy Sutton Harlem run. Two, it matters because Prince Hall Masonry helps men because it guides them to a way of life with purpose. The most common definition of Masonry in the world, and I've heard many times on this very institution, is a system of morality veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. And although that's very true, I always try to share my own definition, which is Masonry is a way of life that gives you the tools you need and the support you need to be a bit better tomorrow than you are today. The unique way that Masonry teaches its lessons and the spiritual way men interpret and internalize its rituals and symbols are truly a life-changing event if done correctly. No man, if correct, rises from the altar the same. And what does Masonry really expect from each of its members? That you will work at being a better man, more dedicated to honor and integrity, more compassionate, more honest, that you will try to improve and to show that improvement in your life and actions every day. Lastly, Prince Hall Masonry, because it provides a safe space for men of color and others to show support and love for each other in this world. Right? In today's world, men, especially men of color, are taught to be distrustful of each other, to be in competition with each other, and to have our guards up even with other men at all times. And Masonry is the opposite of that. If truly lived, it allows you to take your guards down, to learn to work with other brothers collectively, to share together, to learn together, to fail together, and to succeed together. What I choose to say is that what my Masonic friends and I share is what I call unconditional trust. It's something that is so rare. We share an absolute certainty that I am sure that none of them would deliberately do anything to hurt me, and nor I to them. And in many cases, we take care of each other's children. We're administrative of our estates. When we are together, it is a recharging experience. And no matter how bad things get outside, we can always look to make each other feel better inside our sanctuary, our shared Masonic bonds. It cements us as a family, and all of Masonry as an extended family. Lastly, it provides that safe space because when I was worship master in my lodge in 2011, I had one constant theme, which I always taught to my brothers, and I've tried to go ahead and teach it to every brother who cares to listen to me in these many, many days. You may not like every brother in your lodge, but you will learn to love every brother in this lodge because like is different. Like means we hang out. Love means a genuine care for your well-being, your success, and for your positive development and growth. And that is what we must ask each brother to do about every other brother in his lodge. Not hang out with him, not be his best friend, but care about his success, care about his positive development, and care that he grow a little bit better tomorrow than he is today. I am thankful to Masonry and its unique methodology of bringing men together who, if it were not for Masonry, would have remained at a perpetual distance. I can honestly say that I love my brothers and I know that they love me. And for those who live it earnestly, those who put the work in, I promise you, you will find the love in Masonry that I have. I included some pictures of our jurisdiction, my Grand Master, several pictures of Grand Lodge officers, and at the center, of course, Brother Wesley Dobbs. I want to thank you of the Rubicon Society for giving me this opportunity to address you this evening. And also, I wanted to make sure folks knew about my new book that was just released a few weeks ago, In the Dark as Well as in the Light, book for every Mason and every soul who believes in the enduring power of Masonry. I believe that unless we have I have nothing further, and I'd love to take any questions, issues, or concerns. And I want to thank you, brothers, again for giving me this opportunity to address the Rubicon Society. And I hope that someone learned something about the institution that is Prince Hall Masonry, about the man that was Prince Hall, and about the organization that supports Prince Hall, the many 500,000 men who claim its lineage and its place around the world.
Right, Worshipful. Thank you, brother. Thank you for your presentation. Please be sure to put that link to your book in the chat so anyone
Absolutely
on the chat can easily go there. Let me reshare my screen here. Okay. All right, so brothers, we are now open for discussion. So if anyone has a question, the best way to do that would be to raise that virtual hand, push that button, and I'll call on you. And in order. You're also welcome to put your question in the chat box, or if it feels appropriate, you're more than welcome to speak that question out also. But I'll get us started here. Right Worshipful, thank you very much for joining us. I guess my first question, maybe just some basics. So when were you raised a Mason? How long have you been a Mason?
I was raised in 2008.
2008. Okay. And that was in New York?
I was raised in Adelphic Union Lodge number 14, following my grandfather, who was raised in Adelphic Union in April of 1941.
Okay, great. What is the membership quantities in Prince Hall Masonry throughout the United States? Do you have just rough numbers on what those are? Or
I don't know. I know worldwide it's a little over 500,000, but I do not know exactly just the United States. Probably 85% of that is United States.
Okay.
Probably the rest is Europe, Africa, Asia, and others.
Okay.
The bulk of it is United States.
Okay. And did I hear you correct that there are 3 states that still do not recognize Prince Hall? Is that what I?
There are 4 that do not have recognition agreements.
So Arkansas,
yes,
Mississippi,
yeah,
Louisiana, and what was the other? Is there another one?
Right now. Arkansas, Mississippi, West Virginia, South Carolina, and Louisiana.
Okay.
Louisiana has a part recognition, but it's not full.
Okay. So let's talk West Virginia. Okay. So what is that process? Where does that stand? What is taking place between grand jurisdictions to fix that?
It's actually a long process, but not a hard process. How it works generally is one of the Grand Lodges of that particular state must request in writing before the Grand Lodge session of the other formal recognition and visitation as laid out in a formal letter process. Then that is taken to that Grand Lodge at that session and voted on by the body. And then it goes back down to the lodges the following year, and then back to Grand Session the following year to be voted again. And then whether accepted or not accepted, and then that's generally what it is.
Okay. So has there been attempts to approve recognition that have not gone through yet, or has it just not gotten to a vote?
Every state is different, as you know. The lesson of sovereignty in Masonry is very real. Every state is different. I believe there's been many discussions, but I do not believe in those remaining states that there have been any full-throated progress toward that yet. Only Louisiana, there was some, as they did it with the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Maryland.
Okay.
But have not done blanket recognition with the rest of the Prince Hall sodalities in the country. That's why they're colored gray in that map I put up, because they've begun a process, but it's not there yet.
Okay. All right. Well, for the record, Masons, no matter what, should be blind to any color, and we need to recognize each other. So for what that's worth, I think we need to move past this and make that happen. So me not having any clout to make that happen, hopefully that gets done sooner than later. I know in Kentucky, we recently approved recognition. I believe it was in 18 or 19, I think.
I know Kentucky, Florida just completed it last year, I believe, or was it the year before. So there is progress, because I remember when I came in that map was very different. So there has been progress over the last 15, 20 years, but we still have a way to go.
Sure. So let's talk more about, let's go back to Prince Hall. From your research on him, what was the perception of Prince Hall, the man, by both the Black community and then the Masonic community during that time of change? Do you have any research?
Well, we have some newspaper articles that talk of how greatly he was respected in the African-American community in Boston, and even by the greater population of Boston. There are some articles that were written at the time of his death that talk of how he was greatly revered as a businessman, as a cultural leader, and as someone who took chances on behalf of his community in some of those newspaper articles at the time of his death in 1806.
What research have you found regarding the Masonic lodges already in place about him? Were they open to him?
Well, he was the first. So he applied to other lodges in Boston at that time, but because of his color, it's understood that he was not allowed to join.
Right.
And so that's why he sought membership and was initiated along with 14 other African-American men, and created what was then became African Lodge and then became African Grand Lodge after many years later.
And I just want to throw this out there as well for what it's worth, is this is maybe an uncomfortable topic to perhaps talk about. It shouldn't be. I think we're dealing with the past and the history. I think it's important to know and understand the history and how it truly was. So hopefully no questions come across as offensive by any way or what so shape or another, because we're
No,
understand.
not to me.
Good.
I did this lecture for the Grand Lodge of Germany many years, I guess about 5 or 6 years ago, a different version of this lecture. And they had just never really, except for a few members, had really had any experience with Prince Hall Masons.
Yeah.
And so some of the questions I understand can sometimes seem that way, but I understand they come from a place of education and interest, not from vitriol.
Good. Thank you. Brother Crickard, yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, brothers. Thank you, Right Worshipful. That was a very interesting, and I learned a few things on there. So, but my question would be, does anybody know, like, what was it about Freemasonry that brought Prince Hall to it? Like, what made him interested in Freemasonry, especially when he looked around, he saw a bunch of white dudes in it. So it's like,
well, actually, there's a book written by Brother Charles Wesley called Prince Hall Life and Legacy, which is a complete study of the life of Prince Hall in his early days leading up to him finding Masonry. And he talks about that there. I touched on it a little bit. And primarily what it was is that when he went to the legislature to fight for the rights of African Americans, when he went to try to get individuals schooled, the individuals that he was learning who was at the leadership of the legislature, leadership of education, the leadership of economics were all Masons. And they had relationships with one another. And so what he saw then was that Masonry was a clear vehicle to bring men together who were about bettering their community, utilizing their resources, and basically taking 1 and 1 and making 3. And he knew that if there was ever a community that needed that kind of ability, it was the African American community in Boston. And so he sought membership to be able to do more than what he was doing at that time.
And then, so do you think like after he joined, or was it always in him that after he joined, like the moral teachings of Freemasonry grabbed a hold of him, like, or was that in him before that?
I think it was always in him. I mean, there's not a lot written about him because it was a difficult time, but from what we have read, it seems like any man that would volunteer to be a military man to defend freedom for people of African American origin at that time, in the late 1700s, any man that would open a school for African American children when he saw that there was no other place for them to receive an education, open one in his home, anyone who wanted to fight for abolition at a time when that was not a popular and in fact a very dangerous thing to do, I think that was who he was. And he saw Masonry as an ability to enhance that of what he was and to bring other like-minded members and men along with him.
Thank you, Right Worshipful.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother. We have a question here in the chat, which is from Chad Kopinski. It says, "Forgive my ignorance, brother. What does lodge education typically look like in your jurisdiction? Are there education officers? What counts as education? Would you mind talking about that?"
Absolutely. We have a couple of vehicles for education in my jurisdiction, and each Prince Hall jurisdiction has slightly different. We have the Committee on Masonic Education, which puts out information regarding the 3 degrees, as well as how to interview a candidate, how to all the path you need to be on to be an effective worshipful master, etc. There's also the Most Worshipful Daniel W. Simmons Center for Masonic Education that does and is continuing to do in September Zoom trainings for individuals who want to become leaders of their lodge, how to create your trust board, how to create your stewardship, how to do budgeting for your lodge, various things that help you run a better institution, but also curriculums for all 3 degrees. We want to make sure that people are well-rounded Masons. They understand how to run a lodge, but they also understand what those immovable objects are, what those movable objects are, what is the terminology that Masonry, because Masonry teaches you a whole new language. And so it's not just the coded ritual, there's also words that you may not use in your regular life that you now will use. Like how many of us used inculcate before we became Masons? And so that educational system teaches to teach those things as well. And it begins when you first petition a lodge and are given that first degree, and then it goes until you are a wily old past master like some of us.
Yeah. Brother David Daugherty, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Brother Wardally, thank you very much. Very nice presentation. I got a curious question based mostly on your reference that you traveled to Germany and gave a similar presentation there.
Well, it was actually a virtual presentation. It was during COVID.
Okay, very good. But my question is based on, again, but by no means an expert on this, but based on some readings that I've done, I know that there was a mass immigration from Germany to the US in the late 1840s. And my understanding is that a lot of the Freemasons who were interested in that democratic process that they weren't finding in Germany were a little disappointed by what they found when they came to the US. And they found that they were still very much racially discriminated against in Freemasonry as Germans. And I believe most of that occurred within New York. Do you have any comments or thoughts in the relationship between those two? Between Prince Hall and
I actually don't know much about that. I did hear them talk about, some of them on that call were very surprised that regularity and recognition was still an issue in the country. They were very offended by that idea, and they talked a lot about, and there were several African-American Masons from Germany who were on the Zoom call. And so I don't know much about that in that instance, but I do know that it did surprise me how they were so offended by the lack of recognition in several states in America still, because of them, Freemasonry was definitely universal. And there are several Prince Hall military lodges in Germany, so they were very familiar with those men, many of them. So it was interesting. But I know what you mean, but I'm not familiar with that case here in New York.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly how you would broach the subject or do the research on it, but it might be interesting to do a comparison between the Prince Hall of the 1770s and the Germans of the 1880s and see if there was any similarities and how they came about. And it could be a rich source of research ideas there.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Without going into any private information, can you tell us a little bit about maybe the differences in ritual between Prince Hall and free and accepted Masonry that you know of?
Both New York and Prince Hall, New York, and the Grand Lodge of New York use a very similar ritual. It comes from the same root. It's about 85 to 90% exactly the same. Okay. What it is some of the longer lectures were cut down. In the Grand Lodge of New York, there's the middle chamber lecture of the second degree, and I won't give away too much here, but that lecture is a 45-minute lecture that we in Prince Hall in New York still give verbally through our senior deacon. The Grand Lodge of New York actually cut that down to about a 15-minute lecture. Also, we still give the original 45-minute version. Also, we have an opening and closing charge in the opening and closing of our lodge that the Grand Lodge had taken out, but now I believe through their commissioner of work that they've included the opening charge back in their opening, because there was a through visitation between us and the Grand Lodge of New York. We have very frequent visitation. We're very close to New York. The gentleman from Mariners Lodge, who became the head of their work, their grand lecturer, for lack of a better phrase, I forgot the exact title in New York. Him visiting our lodge, he fell in love with the middle chamber lecture, the full version, and the opening and closing, and he sought to get that included back into the Grand Lodge of New York ritual. And I know he succeeded in, I believe, getting the opening or the closing. I don't remember which one. And I know he got some of the middle chamber lecture back longer. I believe theirs is still about 25 minutes now, not the full 45 minutes, but our lectures are very, very close. In fact, although we do not do it often, we have actually done degree work for each other in lodges.
Hmm.
The ritual is that close here in New York.
Interesting.
I can't speak for every state, but I know in New York, the rituals come from the same root and are just slightly different.
Interesting. What about the monitor? Who is the author of your monitor? Is it consistent across jurisdictions? What does that look like?
Our monitor is consistent for New York, and I have not seen the Grand Lodge of New York's monitor, to be honest. I'm sure they have it. I just have not seen their monitor. Our monitor is very consistent because we use a coded ritual in New York, where a lot of states use an open ritual. Ours is still in the cipher, written in the 1920s. So it uses symbols and coded language throughout the ritual. The entire book is still coded. It's still a cipher. So our monitor allows us to see the book, see the rituals and the lectures in English to help those who are still struggling with the cipher memorize and learn those rituals. Because we're not allowed to use books during our ritualistic process. So you have to have it by memory. So our monitor helps those who are seeking to learn the various rituals, charges, symbolisms, and long lectures, etc.
Is there an author of the monitor, or is it just published by
It's published by the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of New York.
Sure, just curious. Okay.
No. And it goes back to I believe there's been a couple editions. The last edition, I believe, was printed in the 50s.
Okay. Okay. Brothers, I'll just keep asking questions unless somebody else wants to jump in. What about the time between degrees? What does that look like?
We do not have a set time. We have a minimum time. A man may not receive a degree except every 30 days.
Okay.
That's the minimum time. But generally, in the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of New York, it's usually several months in between. Okay. We require a level of proficiency for each of the degrees prior to being given the next degree. And sometimes, if the class does not get that proficiency, we will carry them over into another year. So it's usually, the full process is usually about a 7 or 8 month process, generally.
Per degree,
if the class gets it
from beginning to
from beginning to end. Yes.
Raising. Okay. All right. What type of education takes place in the proficiency process between each degree? Is there any?
They have to know a piece of the ritual by heart.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain sections of the ritual that they are required to know. The obligation, working tools, various aspects such as that are required to be known by heart. Also, my lodge requires that they have a general understanding of the terms, as well as some of the history of Freemasonry prior to moving on to the fellowcraft. And then the education gets harder for the fellowcraft degree, because as we all know, our 7 liberal arts and sciences are the focus of the fellowcraft degree. And so we put a little bit emphasis even more on education during the second degree. And then again, you'll have to be able to do some parts by memorization, and then also show a general understanding of Masonry as a whole before receiving, being raised to the level of Master Mason.
Okay, great. Appendant bodies, what does that look like in Prince Hall Masonry?
Well, we have them all. And as my resume said at the beginning, I'm a member of them all. Of course, we have ancient accepted Scottish Rite Masonry, of which both the Prince Hall and the so-called mainstream signed a treaty a few years ago between the sovereign grand commanders of both the mainstream and of northern jurisdiction and southern jurisdiction, all signed a treaty. So now we have universal recognition within the Scottish Rite throughout the country and the world, as far as PHA and mainstream. The Red House, the Holy Royal Archmasons, we have a lot of recognition. I don't know how universal it is, but I know that in New York, New Jersey, many statements in the Northeast, we do visit between our Red House chapters. The Purple House, the Royal and Select Masters, there's some level of recognition and visitation. Let's see. The Shrine, we do community service projects together, but we don't sit in open meetings with one another.
Okay.
We don't have recognition shrine-wise, but we have done projects together. When I first came into the shrine, one of the projects we would do is we would drive needy children down to the Shriners Hospital in Philadelphia from New York, both mainstream Grand Lodge of New York Shriners and Prince Hall Shriners. So we do work together when it comes to certain charity initiatives, but we don't have recognition of the shrine. And I believe that's almost all of them. Our OES chapters do have some level of recognition. Well, visitation. They have some
Visitation.
well, there is some level of there have been visits. I'm not sure I would have to defer to a Eureka Grand chapter or the Eastern Star member to really answer that question better. But I know I have seen some visitation between New York, Grand Lodge of New York, Eastern Stars, and ours, but I'm not sure of the full level there.
Okay. Where's Brother Bizak? I believe you said you had a question.
I do. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Rev. Horsful. Very, very informative. Can you tell us a little bit about the attendance in the lodges and retention and the average age?
Well, I think we all have this problem in Freemasonry. I believe that we have all been challenged in recent years to continue bringing members in, well, I have a saying that I actually wrote in my book, that today's masonry has to be worthy of the modern man's time. And so we have to make sure that we're just not opening, reading minutes, arguing over stupidity, and leaving. We have to give people light when they come to every meeting. We have to give them fellowship when they come to every meeting, as well as lodge business, because men come to masonry for different meetings. Some lodges do very well with attendance. There's no doubt about it. Well, many are struggling. There's no doubt about it. It depends on the lodge. It depends on the experience. But we have, under this Grand Master, and please give me, Most Worshipful Darren M. Morton, the 60th Most Worshipful Grand Master, my Grand Master. We have focused on trying to get to do better with helping lodges, with retention, with education, so that they will be on better footing. But we all know that in today's world, men have 800 channels on their TV, and they have the world in the palm of their hands. So we have to make sure that we're providing a real experience when men participate in masonry, and that they walk away learning something and getting some of what they come here for. So yes, it's a challenge. And our membership has been skewing younger in the last 10 years. When I first came in, you did not see many younger members, meaning under 40. Now, especially the last couple of grand sessions, the membership is definitely skewing younger. So we have a long way to go, but we're doing okay, but we've got some work to do, like every other sodality, I'm sure.
Of course. What is the average dues rate?
Every lodge sets their own dues by bylaws, but I would think it's probably about $200 annually. Is roughly in the range of what I've heard between most lodges. Some charge a little bit less, and some charge a little bit more.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, brother. What would Prince Hall, the man, the Mason, say about Freemasonry today?
That is an excellent question. I would say that he would say that we're not doing enough. Honest to God. I think he would say that there are so many things that are needed in our community that Masons could be meeting those needs, and they're not. I would believe that he would think we're not doing as much as we could do. And I use that as a guide and as a motivator for myself and others in my jurisdiction. Because when you look at his lifetime and you look at what he faced and still what he accomplished, clearly we have some work to do.
Great. Any other, anyone else on tonight, Prince Hall Masons, that would like to add to that?
Quick question. if I'm allowed.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. Is Prince Hall restricted to Black people only? I'm John Johnson, Capilano Lodge 164, West Vancouver, British Columbia. Is Prince Hall restricted to Blacks with a frown on white people applying? And the other question is quickly, so the name of your organizer, Brother Prince was his first name, right? Hall his last name? Yeah, thank you. Go on.
Yeah, Brother Jansen, that's an excellent question. Excellent question. And the first is yes, his name was Prince Hall. And no, in fact, Prince Hall Masonry is some of the most diverse Masonic lodges in the world. We have many Caucasian members. We've had many who have served as worshipful master. In fact, in Brooklyn, we have had Orthodox Jewish, not only members, but worshipful masters in Brooklyn. We are very strong amongst Latinos. My lodge is probably a third or a little bit or a third Latino. We've also had members of Arab and Muslim faith, many brothers. My lodge did have 3 Caucasian members, but they all took jobs in other parts of the country, and so they don't actively participate as much as we'd like because they had to move away. But no, Prince Hall is 100% open to all men who want to live and breathe and act in Masonry.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Right Worshipful Patrick, go ahead.
Good evening, all. Patrick Reiner, Celestial Lodge number 3, Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge in New York. Please excuse me for not having my camera on. I'm kind of running around a little bit and getting ready for a degree tomorrow, actually in Adelphic Union. But
yes.
How you doing, Ken?
What's going on, brother?
But with regards to the question of what would Prince Hall say about Masonry today, I remember hearing of I believe it was an address of some sort that he gave in 1792. And if you were to read that letter today and not know the date it was written, it would echo a lot of the problems that we're actually having in the present day with, brothers not taking the craft seriously, lack of engagement, and so on. So, I mean, as the problems that he had then are similar to some of the problems we're having now. But I agree with my good brother and mentor, Right Worshipful Wardally, that he would definitely say we're not doing enough.
Yeah. Do you think he would say we're not doing enough as far as improving ourselves, or from more of the external perspective, or both?
Definitely both.
Yeah.
My personal opinion is if you improve the brother, you improve the lodges. If you improve the lodges, you improve the organization. So when you see problems in the organization, one of the first places I say, look, is the brothers. So, individuals come for different reasons. Some come for more social, some come for, I've heard many brothers over the years say, I come here to get away from my family, which confuses the living daylights out of me. But when we don't use the working tools we're given seriously and continuously to improve ourselves day by day, it reflects in the individuals and then spills over into the organization.
Yeah.
To have an organization of men, whether your jurisdiction is the 3,000 that the Prince Hall Grand Lodge New York has, or some Grand Lodges have way more than that, to have that type of network available to you and not maximize it in whatever arena you choose to apply it is a waste. And I feel too often brothers don't really know what they have their hands on and squander opportunities that could definitely change themselves, their families, and others.
Yeah.
Like even something as simple as doing ritualistic work. My current worshipful master, when he was a fellow craft, I did his middle chamber lecture. And he said because of the information that I talked about, he went back to school and currently has his master's. And he says he did that because of the lecture that I gave. Now, to me, I've been doing the lecture for some time. I've never expected to have that kind of impact, but not even so much for him. He has a son. And me thinking about it one day, I realized because I did this bit of work that some may have different opinions of. Not only did this man better his own life, he did it where his son could see him do it. And his son had an opportunity to watch his father say, you know what, I can better myself by taking a step that maybe I wasn't even thinking about before. So small things like that, they happen, in the most random times, but they happen and they change lives.
Yeah, agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nathaniel.
Good evening, brothers. My name is Nathaniel B. Daniels of Jephthah Lodge number 89, the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the state of New York. I'd just like to give Right Worshipful Wardally his flowers while he's still here. As Patrick, Right Worshipful Reiner said, you're a stand-up brother. You exemplify Masonry. You share your knowledge. You've been there so many times. Like I said, it moves me to see you doing what you're doing. Okay. Your book, speaks volumes, but just as a brother in this fraternity moving through the journey of Masonry, you are truly a mentor. You are truly someone who has lived Masonry, and it is greatly appreciated. So I just want to let you know, from me, I love you. I think you're doing an extraordinary job. Just keep doing what you're doing, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you, family. Appreciate you, truly.
Thank you, brother. I can't follow that up. Somebody else.
Why don't you ever talk to me like that, Brian?
No comment.
If I could say anything, we as brothers often think a lot of each other, but we're too afraid often and don't want to step out there and just speak the truth.
That's
Our
right.
Our job is to empower each other, to inspire each other. There is no wrong. There is nothing in the ritual that says anything about being tough on brothers. It's all about loving your brother, being there. And I love what you said about, you don't necessarily have to like your brother, but you gotta love him.
That's right.
You gotta love him. You cannot work against each other. And if you live in that way, then you've done it. You will touch. All right. I think I answered the question of how do you get good brothers to be bad brothers to be good brothers? Just you be a good brother, and eventually they'll catch on or they'll leave.
That's right.
Simple.
Hey,
be the best brother you can
I tell my brothers, there's a reason why only 1% of the men who could be Masons are. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be. This is valued and is treasured, and it means something because everybody can't do it. It's not easy. It's not. I remind brothers, this institution, we raise men, right? We raise men for that third degree, and when you raise a man, you're responsible for him, right? If we are only brothers when it's convenient, then we are not brothers. That's a fact. We have to be there when times are tough. We have to be there when times are tough. We have to help them. Even when we don't, we have to go to those funerals when we don't feel like going to the funeral. We've got to help a brother up when we don't feel like helping him up. Let those who are the profane, let those who have not learned what we have learned sit at home. But let us who know better and have surrounded ourselves with others who know better do what we are supposed to do as men and Masons. And it's not going to be easy. It has not ever been easy. That's why so few men are. So let us continue to live the principles that we were given. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy. And that's why the tools is the ritual, but the support is the brothers. Because sometimes when I don't have it in me, I know that Nathaniel does. Sometimes when I don't have it in me, I get a call from Gil Calderon, and I know I'm doing the right thing. Right? When I don't have it in me, I know Patrick can come do a lecture that I just couldn't seem to get down. That's the support. That's the support, right? I don't need your money, and I got jobs. I got a job. But what I do need is a helping hand sometimes virtually, sometimes spiritually, sometimes on the phone, sometimes in person. And that's what makes Masonry hard, right? Because we could all do rote memorization, but living Masonry is what makes it hard. And that's why all of us can't do it.
Well said. Well said. Brother, if you're looking for a job at the Rubicon Masonic Society, if the chairman position ever comes open, I'll let you know.
May I have a word?
Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gil Calderon. I'm the Grand Ambassador from Lebanon, and I represent the Americas. And I want you to know, my beloved brother, Right Worshipful Kevin, I love you, my brother. You know, I've followed you. I've seen you for many years. I see the work you do. I've been to many grand sessions.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God, well, you know, you see me everywhere. But I want you to
Yes.
know that I am honored to be an honorary member of the Grand Lodge of New York, also an honorary member of the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts, South Carolina, and a few other, because I don't want to take up a lot of time. But I'm so proud that with all my Prince Hall brothers, that I had the honor to start 6 years ago seeking amity with Prince Hall, and by the grace of God, and I have 22 Grand Lodges. We have 22 Grand Lodges of Prince Hall and amity with the Grand Lodge of Lebanon. I'm so proud of that unity, and I support all my brothers, not just mainstream Prince Hall, all my brothers around the world. And I'm invited to go to many places. And pretty soon, I got to talk to you about going to South Africa. There's going to be the World Conference there. That would be nice. And you also being a Knights Templar, there's going to be a grand in Razo, no, something, Rhodos, Greece next year. There's going to
Nice.
be a grand encampment there, a gathering where Sir Knights are coming from all over the world. And so far, I'm reaching out, especially to our dear brother Gino Anderson, the president of the
Yep.
Confederation. I'm reaching out to him and many other Grand Masters, and I'm trying to get this unity form where we can all show up and support each other in brotherly fraternal love, which is what we're supposed to be doing, you know. And what I normally do is in different lodges, I forgot to mention that in different lodges, what I used to do from time to time, I would have everybody go over the degrees again, because at times they probably missed something, you know, along the way. And those things, those important uh, lessons that we learned, you know, especially our principles and our integrity that we should live by, is so important, you know, especially to the younger men. But anyway, my dear brother, I love you, and God bless you, and continue doing what you're doing. I'm watching you all the time. Always remember, Big Brother's always watching. Okay.
Absolutely.
Take care, my dear brother.
All the best.
All right, Kevin, let's get real. How much did you pay these guys to get on here?
I don't know, but I think I'm going to have to come up with some money soon.
Just kidding. No, this is great. Other questions about Prince Hall or um, anything else for Kevin? I'm sure there's a few more questions lingering around out there that are just itching to be asked. Do you guys do anything symbolic of any ceremonies such as festive boards, table lodges, anything like that? What does that look like?
Many lodges do a form of table lodge. It's also the tradition in Prince Hall that fellowship and collation after lodge meetings is a tradition that we follow pretty heavy. So it's not always a formal festive board, although some lodges do that. It's not universal amongst Prince Hall throughout the state, but there are select lodges that have done it. My lodge has done it. I know a few lodges in the 3rd district, a few upstate in the 7th have done it in the 6th, but it's not universal. But what we do is we do break a meal. We do break a meal with each other after the lodge. So it's not a formal festive board, but having meal either before or after the lodge is a strong tradition in the Prince Hall Sodality.
Okay, good, good. Brother Tim, good to see you. Go ahead. You're muted, brother. You're not coming through. You're not showing muted, but we cannot hear you.
Muted.
Is my picture wrong?
Check the audio settings and make sure it's coming through the correct audio settings. Down on the bottom, you've got the audio icon, the arrow.
Your video is on.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
We
Yes,
can hear
sir.
you now. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. My name is Brother Goody. I'm from Joppa 55. And I just wanted to say that I've been following Brother Wardally a while. He may know me, he may not, but he's been an inspiration to me. And a lot of the things I've done, I've kind of, or not kind of, I've used him as my example because my philosophy is be what you want to see. If you want to see it, you have to be it. So it's not about what you say, it's the way you vibrate. It's the energy and your frequency. And if I see a person being a particular way, I pick up his energy because I'm legally blind. So I may not be able to look at you, but I can see you through our experience. And
Yes,
I've
sir.
experienced him to be a well-deserving brother of whom I respect, and his energy is quite high, and he's really pushed the ladder for me. So I just want him to know that I appreciate him, and he's being and I'm seeing. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Brother Goody. Yes, sir. Past Commander in Chief, sir. Thank you, illustrious sir.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Brother.
You mean illustrious peer, don't you?
I did say that. I ended with that, illustrious peer. Yes, sir. I ended with that.
Yeah. He's the reason I am an illustrious peer.
Brother Tracy, go ahead.
Thank you. Right, worshipful, this was a wonderful presentation, as everyone has told you. But I wondered, in our grand jurisdiction, in our grand lodge jurisdiction, there's something of a some lodges are more active in community service. Some lodges emphasize sort of education more so, sort of, deciding where they can put their energy. Is there a similar kind of conversation going on in Prince Hall Masonry, or is it pretty universally devoted to community service? What are your thoughts
No,
on
I'll be very honest with you. It depends on the lodge and its membership. I'll be very honest with you. My lodge is much more education focused than it is community service focused. I actually think we should do. I'm thankful to our sister chapter, elected chapter number 14, because they do so much community service that they push us to be better with it, because we're actually not that good with it. We're very good with lectures. We're very good with education. We're very good with curriculum. We're very good with some forms of fellowship. We do a couple of nice events every year, but we're not as good with community service as we should. We'll write a check. My lodge will write a check, but I would tell you that other lodges are better with community service. When I look at Fraternity 126, I mean, they've been doing toy drives and food drives and Samson 65, and they're doing a food pantry every 2 weeks. And I think it depends on the lodge and its membership. Each lodge and membership kind of adopts that which speaks to them. But I believe we can do better. We could do better with community service, my personal lodge, but some lodges are better at it than we are. And just like we may be better at education, not better, but we may focus more on education than some others. It runs the lodge. It's different. I think it's just the priority of those individual lodge memberships. Also, it's leadership. When my sponsor was Worshipful Master, we did a lot of community service because past Master Wayne Francis was focused on community service in a real way. And so he drove the lodge to do community service as part of its monthly and bi-monthly process. Other Worshipful Masters, not as much. It's no harm, no foul. It's just, some folks' focus is here and others is there. But no, it depends on the lodge.
I got to say that's somewhat comforting to us because some of the grand lodges in our area, they knock it out of the park on community service. So it's nice to hear that some lodges out there are recognizing sort of a trade-off here.
Look, I'll be very honest with you and tell you that the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of New Jersey I will give them credit. They do a better community service as a Grand Lodge than we do. They throw community days every year where they partner with like the mayor's office and a whole bunch of institutions that serve children. They do a big community day. They do a big HBCU college tour. They do community service better than we do. Not that we don't do it, but they have made it a more concerted effort and a huge part of who they are on a year-to-year basis. So we have some learning to do from our brothers in Jersey.
Thank you, brother. All right, one or two more. Brother Damon, go ahead.
Good evening, brothers. Please excuse me having my video up. I'm currently driving. But I just wanted to first like for Wardally, wonderful, wonderful lecture. As always, you know you are an inspiration to me, and I look at you as a mentor. To past Master Brian Evans, I did join and appreciate you allowing me to join into this. And I will look forward to being on. Is it the last Monday of every month?
It is the fourth Monday of every month, unless otherwise notified. Yes.
I look forward to being on. As far as the question that arose, as the Right Worshipful said, in our jurisdiction, every lodge is different. I'm Doric Lodge number 53 out of Hempstead, New York. And we are big on our charitable
Yes.
in our community, but we also are big on education. We have not missed a Wednesday since COVID. We do a Doric Master Mason study class, and it is open to all Master Masons throughout the world.
Your voice is a little muffled, D. You got to put it closer to the mic.
There was a brother, Tim Bramble of Lexington Lodge No. 1, that asked a question about was it a break from the Grand Lodge of England caused by any particular event or crisis? Thanks, excuse me, Right Worshipful Wardally, for a wonderful presentation. As far as the history of that, I can't answer that. I'm not a historian. But what I would like to add to that was 2 years ago, I did go to the Grand Lodge of England. And I had with some other brothers from
Brother Damon, I have to interrupt. You're kind of going in and out. It's difficult to hear.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
There you go. Whatever you're doing there, keep it there. Yep.
Okay. I did visit England, the Grand Lodge of England, with some brothers from my jurisdiction from various lodges. We took the regular to give to everyone else. And then they gave us a tour in the back, or they have the history of Masonry. They have incorporated a special section just dedicated to Prince Hall Masonry. And afterwards, they also gave us showed us all of the original letters that were written by Prince Hall. So, that was like a real moment for me to see that. So the historian at the Grand Lodge of England, like some of the brothers expressed on here, were really upset that there were still several states within the U.S. that didn't have that did not recognize Prince. But in England, they love Prince Hall. And I just wanted to share that as my personal note because I was there. Right. And it was one of the most enjoyable times and visits I've ever had. Thank you.
Thank you for that experience. Thank you for sharing that. Brother Nathaniel, go ahead.
If I could just piggyback on what Brother Harris just said, you know, I too traveled to the Grand Lodge of England with a couple of brothers from my lodge, and that was the experience that they were so happy for Prince Hall brothers to come, and that they gave us a personal tour. And so I would say if you do have the pleasure of going to England and going to the Grand Lodge, that you inquire about Prince Hall. There's a special place in their heart for that. And so we were taken back as well and given an opportunity to hold documents and see things that were not part of the normal tour. but the Grand Lodge of England is something to be seen. It is a magnificent, wow, what can you say? That building is something else. The amount of temples within the building, and the artwork, and it's outrageous. So if you ever get a chance, that is someplace you do to want to visit.
Thank you.
I would also add, don't forget the Grand Lodge of Scotland. My lodge, Adelphic Union, had the honor to host the Grand Lodge of Scotland about 8 or so years ago, and they did an exemplification of their first degree in our lodge, and it was something. It was something to see the similarities and the slight differences within the ritual, and they too were over the top, wanting to invite Prince Hall brothers to the Grand Lodge of Scotland, and had an open visitation, and I've kept in contact with some of those brothers via Facebook, and that is a beautiful thing as well. So brothers, if you like golf, you may want to also hit Scotland as well.
Great. We had a question that was written in by Brother Tim Bramble. I don't know if you heard it or saw it. Where's Brother Kevin? Asking about the break from Grand Lodge of England. Was that caused by any particular event?
Well, we actually, the only break with the Grand Lodge of England was during the Revolutionary War, when the Americas broke away, when the U.S. declared independence.
Yeah.
Most of the charters that were presented to American lodges and Grand Lodges were recalled by the United Grand Lodge of English. But they were reissued after all of the rigmarole and the issue of independence and everything were worked out. So we never broke from the Grand Lodge of England. We're still close with them. And in fact, the Prince Hall Grand Lodge did not send our charter back like many lodges from North America did. To be honest with you, it was too much of a cherished item for us. So we have our original charter from 1784. We never turned that in and then got a revised updated version after independence, like many of the Grand Lodges of New York received from the Universal Grand Lodge of England. So no, there was no actual break. It was just, the only break was during that war with Britain.
Got it. Pretty important war too.
Yeah, pretty important war for all of us.
All right, we're short on time, so Brother Bruce, last word.
Thank you, brother. And Brother Kevin, I apologize for missing your presentation. My computer decided to act up tonight, and I had to reboot it and get it going again. But I recently watched something on our public broadcast stations, and it was a thing that talked about the true national treasure, and it is the Library of Congress here in America. And
it is a real treasure.
I was amazed at all the stuff and even the things that they're doing, laser technology to capture parts of maps that have disappeared. And they also announced recently that they have opened it to the World Library somehow. I don't remember what the link is, but they've opened it up and making the Library of Congress available to the world. And I was like, wow, that says a lot for education, because I know a lot of places just do not have the capabilities. So thank you for your time, and I plan to watch the video when I've given the link so I can see what I missed.
We'll get it to you, brother. Don't worry.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay. Brother Kevin, any final comments?
I want to thank the Rubicon Masonic Society for the invitation. I appreciate the conversation. I hope that folks learn some stuff. And if I put my email in the chat, if folks want to reach out to me, feel free. And no, I'm thankful, and I also put a link for my book there as well. So you're more than welcome. I love to talk about Masonry, so anytime. Thank you, all of you brothers who took time out of your busy schedules to spend this time with us this evening. And I look forward to being with all of you in person eventually.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here as well. Let's see, brothers. Our next Masonic education is August 25th. August 25th, Monday, August 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I believe we have our lineup in place. Worship Brother John, are you there? Worship Brother Dan, can you announce who our next presenter is if you have that in front of you?
Brother Brian, our presenter for August will be Worship Brother Mike Pohl from Louisiana. He will be discussing his latest book, Living Freemasonry. And we're looking forward to having Brother Pohl back with us.
Thank you, Worship Brother. Excellent. Look forward to it. Brothers, as announced at the previous meeting, we are announcing a challenge of sorts to read 10 books over the next year. So if you have an interest in participating in that challenge and sharing your feedback and thoughts and maybe some books that you've read, you can go to Rubicon Masonic Society.com/challenge. Some information's there. No pressure. Just trying to engage in the conversation outside of our virtual meetings.
No pressure.
Brothers, you can also see on your screen that the Ware Lodge of Research is raffling off this beautiful Kentucky long rifle. Tickets are $50 a piece, and we will hold the drawing in November, I believe it is, and all of the details can be found at WOWraffle.org. We certainly appreciate your willingness to participate in this raffle. All proceeds go to the Ware Lodge of Research to continue to spearhead Masonic research and education going forward. So if you have an interest in getting a chance to win this beautiful Kentucky long rifle, please go to WOWraffle.org for your chance to win. Buy as many tickets as you'd like. Also,
may I say something before you close out?
Yes, who is this?
This is Gil Calderon. I just wanted to just say a few words. It's just to say and wish everybody that you continue building bridges without borders by forming ropes of peace and loving, tender care. But at the same time, the only way you can do that is by being kind, loving, and understanding to your fellow brothers. That's all I have to say. Good night.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate the comment. Brothers, upcoming is our Masonic Festa Board and Conference. The theme is exploring the role of Masonic research lodges in the 21st century. We will be having the Festa Board on Friday, September 19th at Spindletop Hall in Lexington, Kentucky. And the conference will be Saturday, September 20th, also at Spindletop Hall in Lexington, Kentucky. All Masons of all degrees are more than welcome to attend and participate. All of the details can be found at Rubicon Masonic Society.com/conference 2025. There you can purchase tickets and see all of our speakers, learn all about this fantastic event. This will be our 13th annual Festa Board and our third consecutive conference. So we certainly look forward to seeing you there and participating with us for this fantastic, fantastic event. If anyone has an interest in learning more about Freemasonry, this is a wonderful resource by our very own Worshipful Brother John Bizak. He has his website, thecraftsman.org. Please go check it out. Wonderful papers, books, commentaries, etc. So thecraftsman.org. Also, the Philalethes Society. Worshipful Brother John, would you mind saying a few words about Philalethes?
I'd be glad to. Thank you. Philalethes Society, brothers, was founded in 1928. They are an international Masonic research society today, and it's the oldest independent Masonic research society in North America. It was started to serve the needs of those who were looking for deeper insight into the history, the rituals, and symbols of our craft, as well as just spreading Masonic light to others. And today it publishes the quarterly edition of the Journal of Masonic Research and Letters. And to learn more about Philalethes or subscribe to the journal, follow the link on the screen there, and I'll post the link in the chat box following this announcement. And if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Worshipful. Philadelphia Society is one of the most excellent resources that can be found for our fraternity. Strongly recommend checking that out, becoming a subscriber if you are not already. In 2022, the Rubicon Masonic Society published our Book of Transactions, Volume 1. All of this can be found on Amazon. Feel free to go check that out if you're looking for more information about the papers presented by the Rubicon Masonic Society. Future volumes will be upcoming. I hope you enjoy that as well. And lastly, for the upcoming festive board, if you're unsure what maybe a Masonic festive board would be like with the Rubicon Masonic Society, please go check out our documentary that we produced. Is on Amazon. You can rent it or purchase it on Amazon Prime. You can simply visit theMasonicTable.com or search for the Masonic Table in your Amazon subscription. Hope you enjoy. Any other final comments before we complete the evening? Very good. Hearing none. Worship Brother Allen, would you please deliver a closing devotion?
Brothers, Grand Architect of the universe, creator and provider of all things, and we thank you for this occasion to come together as Masons as we endeavor to create a better version of ourselves, pleasant to your eyes. As we prepare to part company, help us to keep aware of the fact that even though we are separated by space, we are strongly united to each other in our faith, hope, and love for each other and for all persons. Bless us with fortitude and strength to practice the great moral virtues taught to us in our lodges. These things we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Brothers, thank you all again for joining us tonight. Our next meeting is, that date's wrong. Our next meeting is August 25th. RubiconMasonicSociety.com/RSVP. If you're already on a list, you will receive the notification the morning of. And tonight I will be leaving you with a video that was written and sung by Worship Brother Andrew Hammer called The Sacred Band. So if you have any curiosity on what might be taking place at this festive board thing that we keep talking about, this gives you a glimpse of one of the songs that we will be singing that evening. So with that being said, may we always be happy to meet, sorry to part, and happy to meet again. Brothers, thank you so much. Right Worship Brother Kevin, thank you, and hope you all have a great evening. Good night.
Thank you, Brother Brian.
Good night. Good night.
From Eden's garden we began to learn, and in the holy plan, and seek the harmony of man in Hiram's noble ways. So rise, ye brethren, heed the call, as one will stand and never fall. Freemasonry unites us all into his sacred band. Let each one seek the right to know the truth of his immortal soul, and find the light with which to go ever toward the east, where wisdom's kingdom doth reside in strength with the